greatest fights of all time. Now, mind you, Floyd Mayweather outlanded Manny Pacquiao. Floyd Mayweather threw more punches than Manny Pacquiao. They blame Floyd Mayweather for the fight being boring when Floyd threw more punches and outlanded Manny Pacquiao. If anything, blame Pacquiao for not living up to the expectations, not throwing 1,000 punches like he usually do, and making excuses after the fight, not taking chances. The Yahoo Sport, they wrote an article that after years of hype, the match did not live up to its expectations, referring to Floyd Mayweather defeating Manny Pacquiao. Andre Ward responded to this article by stating, Manny was finally the guy who would beat Floyd. This was Floyd's 48th fight. We knew what we were getting from Floyd, a master boxer. Why was everyone surprised? ? This was a good fight. Floyd got hurt twice and overcame. But, quote, the wrong guy won. Andre Ward continued to say, I called this fight ringside with Mario and enjoyed it. The reason this narrative has been pushed is because Floyd won. If the same fight happened and Manny won, it would be a different headline. For years, the media told the public Floyd was scared, so when he won, they felt cheated. First of all, I love that Andre Ward told the whole truth on that, but I just wish he will check Tessitore on live TV whenever Tessitore does trash Floyd, because let's make it clear. I mean, Tessitore, he did shit on Floyd at one point by claiming that everybody want to be a businessman in the sport of boxing because of Floyd when Tio was fighting Lomachenko. Now, I do want to make it clear. I just wish Andre Ward responded to Tessitore just respectfully by saying it was Pacquiao who turned down the Floyd Mayweather fight in 2009. Floyd Mayweather sent Pacquiao a $50 million offer with a 50-50 split on pay-per-view. And Pacquiao turned down the fight for a drug test. Now, mind you, Pacquiao team responded to Floyd Mayweather email by saying, can we have a 30 days cutoff date when it comes to testing, when it comes to VADA testing? So as they were going back and forth, Pacquiao team also stated, if Pacquiao does fail a drug test, can we keep it under the table, on the hush, until after the fight? In which Floyd Mayweather team,
these requirements.
Yeah, in which Floyd Mayweather team refused. They said, listen, it's going to be a drug test by USADA, Olympic-style drug testing. So if Manny Pacquiao fails a drug test for steroids, so on and so forth, the fight is canceled. You can't fight on steroid. And then Pacquiao team pulled out of the fight. They turned down the fight due to a drug test. $50 million with 50-50 split back when Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather was on their heyday. So again, for the people that continue to push the narrative that Floyd Mayweather, he built the fight, he was being a businessman, he waited Pacquiao till he got old, all that is debunked because either Pacquiao was on steroids, that's why he avoided Floyd, or Pacquiao simply ducked Floyd because Floyd was his kryptonite with his offense and defense. Floyd got the best ratio for the offense and defense. That being said, you can't have it both ways. If you want to blame the fight not taking place on time, you got to blame that on Pacquiao. That's a fact.
So the Doug, he try to make all these excuses and then push the media. And it's like, yo, like you said, everybody knew Floyd was one of the mandatory, random blood in your test. Everybody took it but him. All his requirements and all this stuff. If he really wanted to fight so bad, he was ready to wire him 20 mil, do all this stuff for him. You see, even with Floyd, when Madonna was cheating, he gave him a free $1 million just to wear good gloves so they don't do no bare knuckle brawl. And it's crazy how he pushes the narrative and he's a businessman, he's a defensive fighter. But you see everybody giving excuses why Canelo do the same thing. Oh, Tio, you should do that. And it's like, hey, Floyd gave everybody the money print. And all these dudes trying to copy, but they can't do it like him because they want to duck all the best fighters. Try to fight the best to be the best.
You see, old media, when it's their favorite fighter, they tell them to follow Canelo duck print. You know, just duck everybody, avoid all the black fighters and fight whoever you want to fight. They telling Tio at 23, fight whoever you want. You already proved yourself. Floyd Mayweather proved himself for 2 decades, and they still telling him to fight Gennady Golovkin. Floyd Mayweather was retired in 2017, and he went to First Take, and they told him, why don't you move up to 160? A division he never campaigned at. Floyd already moved 5 different divisions. Well, they want him to move another division to 160 and fight Gennady Golovkin after retirement, 2 years after retirement at 40 years old.
He's the money man. He's the grab. Nobody knows about Triple G. He's the money man.
Yeah.
He's the one making all the demands.
Yeah.
Like, and they trying to push him, push him. They don't want to push Canelo at least fight what? David Benavidez? He come to the division, he don't want to fight Mexicans. He want to fight Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. He's like a smaller dude. And it's like he gets passes for fighting them guys and older guys. And it's like
I said again, Pretty Boy was the boogeyman, so he wasn't no damn businessman. He fought everybody. He was the most feared. Money Mayweather, he fought the best named fighters. Pacquiao, Canelo, Sugar Shane Mosley, Cotto, Maidana. He fought
around
these guys.
The same age or younger.
And fought them coming off their biggest win. You see Canelo fighting fighters coming off their worstest performances, like Ivini coming off a loss,
or
2 year layoff.
2 years.
Sandra's last couple performances, he looked like shit. Kovalev, he was one leg out of the door. Rocky Fielding, he'd been knocked out before in the first round. So again, he gives up belts, but they stay trying to claim he fight the best. Floyd Mayweather actually fought as Money Mayweather, fought fighters coming off their biggest wins, and they trying to claim he's a businessman. But they try to say Floyd Mayweather fought Pacquiao when he was too old. Pacquiao was younger than Floyd. Floyd was older than Pacquiao. So how you going to claim Floyd Mayweather aged Pacquiao when Pacquiao was younger than Floyd? And then it's crazy. 5 years later, when Pacquiao was 40 years old, he beat an undefeated Keith Thurman in his prime. They try to say he was old when he lost to Floyd, but he wasn't old when he beat Thurman 5 years later. You can't have it both ways. But again, I do want to mention, they say the fight was born because their favorite fighter lost. See, Pacquiao lost, so because their favorite fighter that they were rooting for lost, now the fight was born. But nobody was claiming the fight was born during the fight. I mean, I didn't hear nobody boo. It was a lot of cheers. Every time Pacquiao landed or hurt Floyd, everybody was cheering. When Floyd was outboxing Pacquiao, everybody was cheering. Nobody claimed it was born. Nobody was booing. All of a sudden, after the fight, the old media want to push the narrative the fight was born because their favorite fighter lost. But if their favorite fighter won, if Pacquiao beat Floyd in the same fashion, then they would have claimed it was one of the greatest fights of all time. Now, mind you, Floyd Mayweather outlanded Manny Pacquiao. Floyd Mayweather threw more punches than Manny Pacquiao. They blame Floyd Mayweather for the fight being born when Floyd threw more punches and outlanded Manny Pacquiao. If anything, blame Pacquiao for not living up to the expectations, not throwing 1,000 punches like he usually do, and making excuses after the fight. Not taking chances.
Pacquiao, not taking chances because, like they say, Mayweather has no punching power. Mayweather can't hit. Everybody know Pacquiao can take a hit. He know he can take a punch, so why not run into Floyd face? He knows he has enough power to back him up.
Why not take risks? I mean, he was losing the fight. He clearly was losing the fight. So why didn't he take chances? Like I said, Floyd Mayweather threw more punches than the volume puncher, Pacquiao. How you going to let Floyd Mayweather not just outland you, but throw more punches than you? What sense does that make? And then they're going to blame
have
Floyd.
The juice.
Yeah.
Literally.
You got a point, brother. I mean, remember, they said Floyd Mayweather ran, but Floyd Mayweather was in the corner. Like, literally, Floyd was in the corner. Pacquiao had Floyd Mayweather in the corner. Now, we all know in the sport of boxing, the corner is the worstest place in the ring. If you're in the corner, that's like a dangerous spot. Floyd was in the corner.
Especially for a guy like Pacquiao who's quick.
Yeah, Pacquiao had Floyd in the corner. I kid you not. He backed down. It shocked me because I was like, what? Like, how you going to try to corner Floyd? When Floyd is in the corner, you're going to back down to the center of the ring, and Floyd Mayweather walked up to him. Remember, Pacquiao's supposed to be the aggressor. Pacquiao was claiming Floyd Mayweather was running. So why would you back up when you have Floyd Mayweather in the corner? I'm going to tell you why, for the people that say Floyd Mayweather ran. Because Floyd was running his fist to Manny Pacquiao face. That's the only thing that was running, is Floyd's fist to Pacquiao face. Because Pacquiao knew every mistake he made, he had to pay. So at that moment in time, Floyd Mayweather was setting him up for something. I don't know what it was. Maybe a right hand, maybe a chuck hook. He realized, I'm not walking into the trap, and he backed down. So you can't use that running excuse because you had him in the corner, stuck in the corner, and Pacquiao backed down. Because again, skills pay the bill. So let's say even if Floyd Mayweather was moving around like Muhammad Ali, that's part of the sport. You have a matador, you have a bull. Everybody wanted Pacquiao to fight Floyd because they felt that Pacquiao pressure, volume punching, and speed, power is the kryptonite for Floyd. So Pacquiao coming into the fight, he should have a game plan to how to cut off the ring. I mean, he fought 1,000 times. He should know how to cut off the ring against Floyd. He should know how to corner Floyd. Why didn't he? And when he did, why did he back down?
Yeah.
Again, because Floyd Mayweather is just
that power was surprising.
He's just simply the better fighter, as he was always the better fighter. Don't get me wrong, Floyd Mayweather said that Pacquiao was the best fighter he fought, and I agree. But nevertheless, there's levels to this. Floyd Mayweather is just not an elite fighter. Floyd Mayweather is a TBE type of a fighter. He's one of the greats. He's one of the GOATs, arguably the GOAT. Pacquiao is one of the greats. Pacquiao is on the top 30 greatest of all time, but there's levels to this. And Floyd Mayweather just happened to be on another level. But you see Teddy Atlas, he pushed the narrative after the fight by claiming Floyd Mayweather versus Pacquiao was a stinker. Nobody going to remember that fight. And then when Lomachenko put on a stinker against Teofimo, his favorite fighter, Lomachenko threw no punches. His favorite fighter threw no punches for the first 6-7 rounds. Lomachenko landed 6 punches against Teo for the first 6 rounds.
I was in shock.
I didn't hear Teddy Atlas come out after the fight and criticize Lomachenko for putting on a stinker by saying, Lomachenko, you had 400 amateur fights. Lomachenko, how are you not going to throw no punches for the first 6-7 rounds and claim you were robbed? You threw no punches.
Because it was a passing of the torch. It was a passing of the torch.
But it's hypocritical on Teddy Atlas' behalf for claiming Floyd Mayweather put on a stinker when it was Pacquiao who was the one that didn't throw no punches. Pacquiao the one that didn't do what he was supposed to do. Floyd did what he was supposed to do and more. Pacquiao didn't do what he was supposed to. But he gonna call that fight a stinker.
Because they gotta push the narrative. Because he gotta stay with the guy who pays you. Like you said, if Andre Ward would have came out, the people who paying him wouldn't like that. Checking the people beside him and all that from an undefeated black fighter who gonna push the narrative that's supposed to be pushed. And another thing, Andre Ward never been that outspoken for him to be speaking out like that. But if he does, I'm pretty sure he won't get called into work next fight. If he does stuff like that.
If he does, he don't need it because Andre Ward, I mean, he got the credentials. They need him more than he need them. Because nobody on ESPN really got the credentials that Andre Ward has. Andre Ward, one of the GOATs. He never lost a fight since he was 14 years old and always dominated everybody and fought everybody. But the point I'm trying to make, again, just the hypocrisy by old media and Teddy Atlas is that he criticized Floyd, but then he don't criticize Lomachenko, who actually put on a stinker by throwing literally no punches. 6 punches for 6 rounds is laughable and absolutely ridiculous. Like I said before, you see Andre Ward, even with Triple G. Andre Ward, he called out Triple G. He said, yo, you said you the best from 154 to 168. How about we link up at 164 on a pay-per-view? And Triple G turned down that fight to fight Lemieux and said, I don't got no intentions to move past 160, right? And HBO, actually, this is publicly known, HBO told Andre Ward to leave Gennady Golovkin alone and move up to 175 to fight Kovalev, the crusher at the time in his prime, who was knocking out everybody and who was the boogeyman. And that's exactly what Andre Ward did to show you the caliber of fighter Andre Ward was. So that's just to show the double standards and the hypocrisy by old media always criticizing the fighters on the coincidental list.
They played this role. They didn't have to bash him because they still want him to still be on the pound for pound list, still have his clout, and also pass the torch to the younger guy, which it looked like that was happening too. He said he barely threw any punches. And I figured out, well, a lot of these fighters I noticed they passed the torch and they passed the belt on, like with that Pacquiao and Jeff Horn fight. Everybody knew Pacquiao won. But I had a feeling that when Terence Crawford moved up, everybody knows he had a WBO belt. And when he moves up, you know, you're automatically mandatory. Why did Pacquiao lose? The ref should have won him to win. It was a good fight, but in my opinion, Pacquiao should have got the nod. But what happens? He win that fight. Terence Crawford moves up. He gets the fight he always wanted. Now tell Pacquiao, hey, that's not what they want.
Yeah, exactly. And then, you know,
Hold it. You're not that pretty. I'm a bad man. Wait. I took up the wall. I took up the wall.
I bear witness there's only one God, Allah, and Muhammad is his final messenger. That's what I said, Larry, on the Bungle fight. Thanking you.
They call me the problem, but you could call me the can man, because anybody can get it. Africans, Americans, Dominicans, Mexicans, anybody can get it.